struggling for more good. Yeah, never thought it would be like this. I never thought I'd feel like this. They remind me that this life cannot be lost forever. I watch my generation. It's so evident this world will soon be gone. Will soon be gone. Can we leave for tonight? Run away. Let's run away, run away. Can we get out of sight? Fly away. Let's run away, run away. Let's run away, run constellations. They remind me that this life cannot be lost forever. I watch my generation. It's so evident this world will soon be gone. Will soon be gone. Can we leave for tonight? Run away. Let's run away, run away. Can we get circles rolling around. Break down, chase the light. We're rolling both on the go. Running for my life. Feel the light. Running for my life. Running for my life. Running for my life. Head high, we're alone. Are we taking all in front of us? Head high, how could we know it was all along on the side? We should read between the lines. Now we're on the right way to go. Head high, we're not alone. Oh, we are not out of luck.
I think we're live. Is Shanti here yet?
Good afternoon, everyone.
There's Shanti.
Hello. I'm going to put the agenda for today in the chat.
Good morning for most of you, I think. I think it's morning for you guys.
You're 1 minute late for me.
I it's bang on for me, so I don't know what time zone you're on, Chris.
What, you were 1 minute late for saying good morning.
Oh, got you. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Or at least those on the east side.
West side.
Yeah, afternoon on the east side, but morning on the west. It'd be easier if everyone lived in England, I tell you.
That would be so much easier. Shanti, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. We are going to be spending a lot of time today actually doing some D&D presentations. So without further ado, Chris, since you are here, you can kick it off.
I'm really excited for D&D. I just freshly rolled a brand new cleric. See how it goes. How many people got that joke? But I hope enough did. Shanti did not. Anyway. Well, hello everybody again. I am coming at you from a Barnes & Noble in Michigan because I am still on vacation. I've been pretty much on vacation since last week. But you know how much I love these meetings, so I had to find internet, and I think I did. And everybody's gonna be staring at me as I talk to you guys. So, hello. But want to start off. Thank you for all for coming, but a reminder: why are we here? Boy, this is your thing. That's why we call it Boy. You are the governance committee. You do have the power. You have the power to make decisions. You have the power to change things. You have the power to actually change this meeting, everything. The core team here, we are just a catalyst. We are just here to make things easier for you. We're going to try to do it the best possibly can. Probably make some mistakes sometimes, but that's the point, because nobody actually knows what how to do this. That's why Voy exists in the first place, because we're not happy with how blockchain is today, and we are set out to do our best to figure it out. And we put together a good representation of the existing community with a great diverse group of people. We picked you all because of your backgrounds, of your knowledge, and that they're all different. And I, for one, am tickled pink with how well it's going so far. The amount of growth, the amount of traction that we have been getting for only being going for a month now is amazing. And it's not slowing down. It's actually, if anything, is picking up. More communities are learning about us. We have communities all over the world. We have a Vietnamese community. We have a Turkish community. We have a Polish community, and it's growing, and it's amazing. And this means that you are now representing a larger community and a larger community. So make sure that you do represent them well. Make sure that you do give your voice, give your opinion, and don't be swayed by any of these other suckers in here. Give us what you really think, because you are special. You are picked for a reason. So thank you so much. And moving on to the next thing. There we go. So the next thing is the shout outs. I've been, like I said, on vacation since the last meeting, so it's I haven't been paying as close attention as I normally have been, but I have seen some things. One thing that I have seen is, shout out to Lobo for jumping in and helping with the DD of the Token Wars. He didn't have to do it. He came in, did a great job. So thank you, Lobo. And whoever doesn't have their mic muted, can you please mute? I don't know who it is. I hear you in my ears. Thank you. And then another shout out is Shelly. Has been doing some great work on the ARC 200. ARC 200 is what we want VIA to be. I haven't been nearly as involved as what I need to be on this because, like I said, I've been gone. I'll be back tomorrow, but I've been paying attention, and he's been making great progress on it. And it's looking like VIA will be ARC 200. So great job on that, Shelly. But I will have to get my hands dirty and make sure that it is up to stuff. So that's great job on the work on that. Updates. The biggest update, I think, which I think is really cool, is that the partnership with the WAMP crew is growing. We did a 150,000 VOI prize pool on Monday, which is too much, if you ask me, Benny and Bill. But it's really exciting. So a lot of people outside the community are coming in. John Guns, the people in the community are out there really spreading the word about VOI in the best ways, and more people are coming in and over Twitter, so that's really cool. But Shanti, Gov, Benny, is there any other thing that you want to shout out or give an update of?
I think definitely give a shout out to Bo again, just because he's been working pretty tirelessly, not only on the sort of rewards website, or not rewards website, the Node Health one, but also just for trying to get Voice Signer over the line.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Voice Signer to be complete. And then once Voice Signer is complete, we can look at potentially redoing the Para Web, so we have a web wallet as well. So a lot of things are happening, and it's exciting. So that's everything for me, and I'm excited to hear the D&D. Who's DMing this week? Back to you, Shanti.
Shanti will DM.
I also want to thank Wilder for taking the initiative to put out a proposal so that Scotty can be compensated for all of the hard work he's doing in the back end that most of us don't get to see. So thank you for that. Okay, so we're gonna get started here. We have first up the token challenge, D&D presentation, Prim and Jay.
Hello.
Are either one of them here? Okay.
So I see that Shelly has his mic not muted.
Oh, sorry, I just rejoined. I got it.
Okay, so hopefully you can see this document. I'm also going to post a link to it if you'd like. If you want to follow along that way. I don't know if it was linked in some other way. Okay, so the token challenge, basically the way that I think about this is that the goal, when you look at real blockchain networks, one of the main things that draws interest is the fact that there are all these non-network tokens that people use for different reasons. So there's obviously ones that are more real, like USDC, but there are many other ones. Sometimes they have bad reputations and we call them poop coins, but sometimes they have good reputations and we call them meme coins, and sometimes they have some other life because they're part of some app or whatever. So the premise of the token challenge or token wars is to try to create that kind of real experience with a variety of tokens on the testnet by basically creating this game where, as people try to get their token in many people's hands, they will win slices of a reward at the end. So whereas in the real world, people want to create generational wealth with their Coop coins, in the token wars, the idea is that people will try to win the Voi testnet game. Now, so that's kind of their goal. And now I'll give a little bit of my review of it as we go. My perspective on this is that I think that it is an accurate understanding of what people want from blockchains, and it is a very wise way to try to achieve that in the confines of a testnet where people don't really have a real use for it, and we can't snap our fingers and make it so that Dude Perfect is talking about our weird meme coin. But what we can do is offer the incentive thing. And so I think that there's a clever, it's a very clever plan. Now, to talk about some of the details, though, on the committee, so I read through everyone's feedback, and I feel like there were kind of 3 points that showed up over and over again. So there were lots of details that were missing from the original proposal about how the rewards would be computed and what the rewards would exactly be based on. And because of those details were missing, people felt like there was no good defense of basically how the system could be attacked and manipulated for people to win. And then finally, there was one person who mentioned this, but I wanted to pull it up because I think that it's worth speaking of. They felt like the 300 million tokens was too much and that it should be reduced to 100 million. So one person said that. Now, a lot of these comments about the lack of details were addressed in an initial version of an initial revision of the proposal, where they added a bunch where the proposers added a lot of information about how exactly they would divide up the rewards. However, this version contained a lot of redacted information, but it was way more detailed than the first draft. But one of the big problems with it is that it did not actually define what was meant by activity, engagement, or market value. Those were these 3 terms that were used over and over again as the key KPIs for what would constitute winning the token war. And from my perspective, that was the fact that those definitions were missing was the key problem with this proposal. And I complained a lot to Benedict, who was kind of the representative of the Voi Foundation on this, about how, I'll I'll hook you into the argument that ultimately won Benedict over. Okay, so imagine you're having a contest where we're going to see who can raise the best pumpkin. And you could just say, we're going to have the best pumpkin. And then people have no idea what you think is the best pumpkin. So they show up, and some people have pumpkins that are purple. Some people have pumpkins that are really big. Some people have pumpkins that look like Chris's face. These are not jack-o'-lanterns, by the way. The actual pumpkin looks like Chris. Okay, so there are all these different ones. People are trying to take the ideal of a beautiful pumpkin, and they've produced, a weird colored one, a big one, and a Chris one. Now, we all obviously know which is the right most beautiful pumpkin, okay? But imagine that what you wanted was a large pumpkin. If you don't tell people what you want, you should be unsurprised if you don't get what you want. And our goal as the committee is to decide, is it worth paying 300 million of these tokens for a project that will get us X? The only reason that we would possibly give the 300 million is if we like X. And the only reason that X is going to happen is if they say, here's what is going to win you the contest. And so for a while, the proposers did not want to share the information about what would actually constitute winning, what would be the X, what would be the big pumpkin. And they tried to get some members of the committee to look at their secret documents, but I refused. I said, no, you've got to share it with everybody if I'm going to even look at it at all. So anyway, so they relented and they shared it with everybody. And then they made a new draft of the proposal, which has extremely detailed descriptions about what constitutes activity, engagement, and market value. And they did a far better way of explaining how they're going to calculate those things than my straw man that I included at the bottom of my DD write-up. And so I don't want to summarize too much because there's a lot of detail, but basically, let me actually show my straw man, and then I'll talk about what is different. So one of the things I said is that, one way to measure activity is just by looking at the number of transactions on the network that mention an asset, by looking at all of the transactions that deal with assets and looking at a particular field. A way to measure engagement would be to look at the number of accounts that actually hold the asset. And then a way to measure market value would be to look at the exchange rate for the token in some specific AMM's void pool. Now, each one of these are actually like hard definitions about what constitutes activity, engagement, and market value. But even these, we can see ways in which they can be gamed. For example, the activity doesn't mention that the transaction is at all valuable or that it's not somehow like self-incestuous or whatever. The engagement requires, you could like spam everybody by just giving them tons of the token without actually really engaging your community. And then the market value may be too high of a standard because it's got to be against VOI, and it basically is sort of picking winners because it's picking the VOI pool and it's picking the specific AMM. So in their write-up, which I encourage you to read the details on, but they go into all of these kinds of issues and talk about how their metrics are superior to the straw man. So after this very long-winded explanation, I say that this is a sterling proposal. I think it's one of the best ones that we've seen. It has the, in my opinion, the most technically robust details. It has a really, really good marketing story. It has a really, really good story for how it will be useful for VOI. And to rewind a tiny bit, one of the reasons that I am even on the VOI committee and involved in the VOI community to help Chris is because a few months ago, he actually told me about an idea that has evolved into this idea. And that really sold me that Chris and the VOI Foundation really have a great clue about how they can make a different blockchain network that not only operates differently, but will actually get engagement from our community. So 5 stars out of 5 stars for this proposal. Please fund it.
Thank you, Jay. One of the things I just want to jump in and talk about, I worry so much about people gaming this. This is something that's because I know I would. If I was not on this team and I was out there, I would look at this and I would destroy it. Every single time. Even if we did hide something and you gave me a day of the knowledge, I would write a script in a day that generates a million counts and walks through the perfect KPI where nobody can beat. So I believe somebody else will do this as well. Because of that, one of the things that I would request wholeheartedly in this proposal, if it's not in there now, is some type of freedom to change KPIs once we learn more information. Because when it is gamed, when it is figured out, I don't want it to be stuck. I want us to be able to be quick and be able to move.
That is in the proposal. I think that I understand, it's as the committee, I feel like we have to give permission to change it. I don't want you to have to go back to us to say what changes you're going to do will be, because I think that's too expensive. But I think that we can only give this permission with the understanding that it is only to be used for attacks, because we have approved these KPIs, not some other 17 things that you've thought of later. I agree that it is a way that you should deal with attacks, but that's it.
Sounds good.
Are there any other questions, comments?
I think I'd just like to say thanks to Jay and Lobo for sort of holding us to such a high standard and making sure that we did push this through and get it to the standard that it is at. Because yeah, I definitely agree. It's a lot clearer now based on the feedback and the discussions we've had. So I just really appreciate you standing your ground, both Jay and Lobo, to make us better ultimately.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay, next up is node installer and monitor, D13, Mariano and Andrew.
I believe D13 said he wasn't going to be ready this week.
Yeah, sorry about this. We have to present next week after all.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and just also too, I'll change the sheet, but I'm taken off of that. They didn't really need my help, so it'll be just those two.
Okay.
Yeah, Mariano and I are tackling this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So let's do Voy network stress test. Wilder.
Awesome. Are you good with me sharing it, Andrew?
Yeah, put it up there.
Okay. Okay. Andrew, I'll ask you to get us started off, and then if I can handle the Q&A, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, perfect. So we spoke with mainly Chris and Urtho from who runs AlgoNode, but there are a few people that are kind of taking charge of this proposal. So the proposal is for a network stress test. This is aiming to allocate 10 million Voy tokens to basically see what sort of load can the network take. So the way the token allocation would go, so the total would be 15 million tokens, 10 million testnet tokens, which would be used for the script that would run all these transactions. One thing to note on that is those 10 million, they wouldn't be going to like anyone who's doing on the team. Like no one would have access to these tokens once they're used. So they're specifically for fees. So that 10 million wouldn't really affect like the end game when you look at tokens. So for me, I think that's just, you can almost act like those 10 million tokens don't really exist. They just help facilitate the process. So then the remainder 5 million VIA would be for the non-foundation members who are working on this, which I believe there'd be 3, possibly 4. Again, we'll go a little bit more deeper into it, but I think it's a fair assessment for how long it's going to take, the amount of work, the amount of people. I think that it's very much well worth it. So the problem description, I'll move down to that. Kind of already touched on it, but as the network gains traction, we need to ensure that Voy can handle that traction. So running this this stress test will really help us know what our boundaries are, and help us better establish, what sort of tech we need from whether it be a consensus node or a relay node. It'll really help us understand what is needed. So the solution approach, they are going to do a 7-day sustained TPS test of rates over 1,000 TPS. The max TPS test they'll do, which will be incremental stress testing to identify the network's breaking point under varying ballast conditions. This testing will be done over the next few months. I'm sure it'll kind of be a little, it'll depend obviously of what happens in the data that they get, and then they'll adapt to continue their tests. And then there will be a report around it as well, so everyone can see the outcome. So let's see. So some of the metrics to monitor, I just briefly touched on that. They're going to be looking at the number of node disconnects and the strain on the relay network. Deliverables going to be, as mentioned, the post-test analysis and action points, and an article detailing just the overall results. So in terms of expected impact and outcomes, I think this is going to really give the community confidence in what VOI is capable of. And I think it's a good look to be kind of honest with ourselves to say, hey, where are we at and where do we need to improve? I think it shows what we're capable of, and helps us create a path of where we want to go. And it also helps us obviously identify and mitigate any potential problems, especially before we're on mainnet, things are rolling. We want to iron out anything before it has a real world effect on people's lives. So the technical approach, they'll be conducted on the VOI testnet using a series of open source scripts, which I think, of course, we've always hammered home open source, and I think scripts like this are good to have. So other people, if they wanted to, they could go and test the network themselves as well. It'll be monitored in real time, and obviously as issues pop up, which I'm sure they will, and we should all expect it. They'll tackle them as need be. So I think one of the things to just have of note, especially for people who are running nodes here, is that when they do these tests, it's very likely that there'll be a portion of nodes that fall under their health score, that get taken offline, that have whatever issues, and it could disrupt the weekly rewards, which I think is, again, it's better to take that small hit now than later in the future when it's probably going to be a little bit more important. And it helps us learn to know what, obviously, so we don't waste money on equipment that we might not need, or we make the extra purchase to get something a little better. And then, the team, as I mentioned too, because I wasn't 100%, couldn't remember all their names off the top of my head. So Eartho, D13, and then Drag are going to be working on it in collaboration with the VOI core team. So Benedict, Chris, Shanti will all be, have a part in that as well. So our final recommendations, are, honestly, we didn't really have much change from where the proposal originally went. We thought the 10 million VOI tokens, the 15 million VOI tokens is, acceptable. With only 5 million going to the team, I think it's very much well worth the work. Our endorsement, both me and Wilder, I think we fully endorse this. As mentioned, it was really well thought out. We had a good discussion with Chris, and really, understanding the importance of it, which I think, both me and Wilder already kind of did to begin with. But we're fully on board, and I would strongly suggest that everyone votes yes on this as well, because especially if you're a node runner, you're going to want this done now rather than later.
Awesome. I will go over some specific questions or concerns, but Andrew captured a lot of it in the report. We were able to meet with, as he mentioned, both Chris and Eartho, and they were able to give us some insight into the specifics of the testing. So the network is going to be under a lot of strain during certain times of this testing. The team will be communicating with us on the day of testing or around the testing to let people know that's why your health score has been impacted. This is definitely going to impact both relay runners and participation node runners, but it's essential to stage 1 of the VOI testnet. they need to collect the data, and they need to understand where do things break. As Andrew mentioned, if we need to raise minimum specs, to do so now in testnet, so come mainnet, we know what to run with when that time comes. So the tokens themselves, the 10 million, they're going to be used in a way where they don't end up in anyone's wallet. They're essentially gone. The 5 million via is going to be spread between the 3 to 5 people who are going to be helping without the testing throughout the testing period, which will be over a month. And that report will take them roughly 2 weeks to generate. It will be shared with us. We'll be able to everyone will be able to read it and even have a little bit of commenting on it. So I believe there's a little bit of an extended time after that to be able to look at the report and just like we do in our Void Discord, interact with the creators and learn more about the work they've done. So there is a risk that this kind of testing can crash the network. The team is aware of it, and we're not afraid of that narrative. They're out there to wreck things. This is the the demolition team. So that's kind of the goal, is to push things to the limit, see what we can get away with, and if things go wrong, we'll own them. And we're essentially proud of them because we're doing testing that hasn't been happening on other AVM chains. There will be unique testing that we're doing that will be a benefit to the greater Void community at large. So lots of essential things for stage one. Just to drive home the importance of this, everyone who voted on this, it was always just wanting to learn more. Everyone in large saw the value to this passing. To go over one of the final aspects of this, it's the loose requirement for testing. I know in the original proposal it was 10 million tokens, and that was just for the testing, and there wasn't talk about what was for reward. That was changed yesterday, so it's the 10 million for testing, 5 million to be split between the people who are doing the testing outside of the core team, so 3 to 5 people. And the foundation will be aiding in that, so it's going to be quite a stacked team. But and this is my final takeaway from the meeting, and I'll be done. Chris stressed the importance of keeping the core team lean, even though the knowledge to do this testing may be with the core team or could be acquired by the core team. That's not the point of them. They're trying to be as small as possible and allow this work to be done by the community and the participating members, which I think is an important part of this and explains why this is a proposal and isn't something that's already being done. So I think I captured everybody there, and thank you for listening. Any questions?
D13.
Just a note that it should be basically impossible to crash the network, actually crash it. At most, we should be able to see delays and then an automatic recovery of the contents.
Yeah, challenge accepted, D13.
Yeah, so that was something that I thought as well. So we'll see what happens, but that's the main way that something like a crash would be present, like D13 said, is the lengthening of a block time. So we lose our 3-second times and we start moving well past that. We will see what happens, but that is the purpose of this. Lobo?
Just a question, because I don't remember it. Will you test the network without any of the ballast nodes on, or will these tests be done like just like the network is today, essentially?
We're going to do tests. We're going to test with max ballast, minimum ballast, everything, and we're not only going to do TPS as well. We're going to do probably like data flow. Like we're going to actually send large transactions through to see how the network handles it, which I think was probably going to kill it. That's why I think D13. I think that's will probably bring the network down, is because of the fat transactions that we'll be sending through.
Yeah, it was expressed that there would be ways to really test the CPU of nodes, really test the storage of nodes. So through these transaction tests, there's a lot of different vectors they're going to be able to test for vulnerabilities. That's just one to have a.
And one of the things too, so Jay said that Algorand has done like TPS testing. One of the big things that is very important why we do our tests is that we are actually distributed because there's so many different proposers, because the actual Void token is actually decentralized. is that there is a much bigger strain on the network because of that. Algorand benefits from only a few nodes proposing most of the blocks. So with us, we'll have to see exactly how a truly decentralized EVM handles things.
Okay, thank you, Wilder. And I think you're up next again.
Yes, I will get into that now. I took this over from TD. He reached out to me throughout the week. He got busy, but didn't want this to be delayed. So once again, not trying to scoop up all the rewards. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling. So anyone sees me on a DD list and the DD is not done, send me a message. I'll give anything up. So I feel like I've done almost as much as I need to for the testnet at this point, but we'll see how things go. Hopefully there's a lot more to come. So this is the Voy node metrics by Boyard. He is the one who has created he is the one who has created the Voy node dashboard that we're all familiar with if we're running participation nodes, and even relay node runners interact with it to see a nice map visual. It's been used by the majority of our community. I think everybody knows the tool I'm talking about. I don't have a link here at the top, but it's the by far the best user experience as well for a Voy dashboard. So he created this proposal himself. It's not going directly at a bounty right now. He also left a lot up in the air, so I'm going to try to get through this quick to give us time to talk about the pricing for it. The current problem was there wasn't a solution. We had Chris's GitHub page with pink and off pink, and it just didn't do the job well. So Bo had to step up and give us something that the community could rally around and be happy with some purple involved.
Wilder, I'm not sure why we need to trash me so much in this proposal, just to be clear.
I'm just trying to adjust why we needed someone outside of the core team to handle this. Sorry.
Fine.
To move on. He's already made this tool. He's already launched it. He's been working with the community in the Node Runner help and other channels to iterate improvements to it, add features that we want. He's essentially offering his tool right now as it is and with his current commitments for the duration of the testnet. There are no commitments that this will go into mainnet. He's essentially looking for compensation for the time he has already spent to get it to where it is, and the time that he's going to spend to maintain it for the duration of testnet. Not saying he's not open to afterwards, that's just the scope of this proposal. For specific milestones, he's currently not tracking the users. There's not cookies involved. That makes it difficult for him to get specific KPIs and things of the like, but he's not including that in this proposal. That's not the purpose of this. He wants to be rewarded for what he is doing, his current development and the product that he's making, and being able to choose what that will become over the testnet. So there is what I'll say, a little bit of trust in Bo here that he's going to continue doing a great job, but so far so great. And I've been very impressed at the speed and the amount of time he's been able to put into it. So for people who are familiar with the proposal, there's no price attached to this. I'll get into the Q&A afterwards, but off the hop, I'm suggesting 5 million tokens if this is not an open source project, and I'm recommending to double that if he does make this open source. That was not the intent as stated in the proposal. I see that value. Once again, these are my opinions. I want to talk about the actual price a little bit if we have time, but this conversation will happen here and in Discord. We will then finalize the proposal, and then we'll be able to vote on it, and that will have a number attached to it. So I'm saying yes to this. We just need to find the right price for it, but overall, it's a big yes for me. I use it daily at this point, I think, and I know it's being used by the greater community. So there were a lot of questions about the token amount. Obviously, it wasn't included in there. He's assigned roughly 2 to 5 million to his token value compared to what he's seen other projects go for. I think that's a little bit modest at 2 million, but I think 5 million makes sense personally, based on the time I've seen him put into it and started it from scratch. The current amount of metrics that he shows on the site have been growing, but he's already he's already sort of inundated with requests, and he's sort of slowing down features that are being added to make sure that he's adding relevant features. So there's a long list. He's working on it, and he's continued to work on it. Whether this is passing or not, he continues to work. He's, once again, I've tried to take as much from Discord and put it into here as I can, but he's very active in Discord if you do want to talk to him about the project. There's as far as prioritization for this project over others, there's nothing competing that has a proposal attached to it for a Explorer. IRL, please.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll wait till you're done.
Okay.
I just wanted to
get in
remember
line.
I had
Okay.
a question. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry.
So there is a reliance on APIs provided by Eartho. Eartho went into detail today. It costs them a lot of money to host those. So there is a lot of reliance on existing infrastructure, but the product as it is what he's ensuring. And a lot of the questions came down to the token value. So if I can right now, I'd like to open the floor to that and see what people think about token value and this final statement where he says he could potentially open source it, but he doesn't want to make a promise on it. That's where I'm coming from with that, essentially asking more to open source it, but I'd love to hear community feedback on that. So IRL first, please.
Sorry, I didn't realize my hand came down when I said go ahead. I like this. I just don't want to revisit this again. So I would love for us to come to consensus now about the token value so that we can vote on it. I just think circling back longer on it is not ideal. That's where I'm at. So I don't know if votes here or not, but like I would love to just like hammer that out right now, figure it out so that we know and can vote on it.
Bo is not here for this meeting, but he did state that what he felt his current work was worth. So he gave us a 2 to 5 million range. He's made it very clear that he wants the council to decide and him not to assign value to his work. So I'll take Shelly if he has an idea on maybe an alternate bid.
Oh, I just wanted to ask about, well, it's probably I don't have to write it. I wanted to ask about whether it was Voy or Via.
Via, sorry if I haven't included that in this. It is Via.
Okay, yeah, there's no mention of the token, like the type of token in the proposal. So when this is maybe revised before the second evaluation, we should have those. We should have that included in the proposal.
Completely. Thank you for catching that. Andrew. IRL.
Sorry, that was my fault. I clicked a different button. But maybe I missed you mentioned this, but what was his reasoning for not wanting to open source?
I didn't go into the detailed reasoning behind it, but essentially he's made this. I don't want to say he's thrown it together. He's made it. It works. It's functional, but he's not happy with the structure of the project, and it is not really professionally made.
Gotcha.
So before open sourcing it, he would have to refactor it and make modifications to the just essentially more work for him to do it from a way where it would be easily usable in an open source environment.
Gotcha. Yeah, and maybe I'm not a developer, so maybe I don't have like the best view on this, but like I mean, for me, I think like okay, I understand like you don't want to show someone your messy house, type thing. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, obviously, if it's open source, someone wants to go in and clean it up, they can. If not, don't judge. Type thing. So I would push back on the open source. I know it's a big thing for Voy. I don't really see this as like some sort of like intellectual property that like you would want to keep, close to the chest. It's a kind of a public service. Like, I don't see a way like someone's going to monetize this or something. So I would push back. I do think though, Wilder, I think your token quantity that you originally said, I think that's about it. Again, I would just really push for the open source. I would do 10 million for the open source if that's the case. 5 million is also good. I think a range in between there. But I think really like the important part is the open source. I think 5 or 10 million, I think will probably, everyone won't really sway one way or the other. They'll probably have their belief already. But I think the open source is the important part.
Thank you. I definitely agree by valuing it higher, but I'd also, I'm not, you raised a lot of good points about the structure of this and if it's necessary to be open source. I don't know that. I just follow that mantra with this. So as a less technical reviewer, I appreciate that comment. And IRL.
I think there's something to be said for being first or like taking the initiative. So it sounds like, I don't think like setting bounties is how the foundation has said they want, like that's the examples. I don't necessarily want to put a price on people's work. So I'm comfortable voting like maybe on the 5 mil as is, and then him applying again when he open sources it for an additional 5 or whatever based on feedback, just to kind of move this forward. And it's just a little awkward without that token quantity, and I don't think our time is best served trying to put prices on stuff. We have to look at the bounty list ourselves to determine those types of things. So since he said he would accept 5, everybody seems like that's cool as is, the way it works now, great. And then definitely has a note, and I'll definitely note it on my final evaluation. I would love to see this come back as an open source and collect an additional amount of tokens. That's all.
Thank you. Shelley?
Yeah, I would just like to piggyback off of IRL. She said that she wouldn't want to revisit this later, so I want to propose adding a schedule for this with a milestone. So the first schedule would be as is, and the second schedule would be when it's open sourced, and that will be, I guess that will be validated by the champion. Is that correct?
What I would talk to Bo, and what I'll be doing after this is I'll be talking to Bo. We'll be putting numbers in the proposal, and then I can give 24 hours for community comment on this. I can have people who would like to look at the specific amount associated with it, but I liked that idea of including both tiers in it to make it one proposal and be done with, and give him that option for the open sourcing. But that will be handled by me. I'll be making sure people are aware and adding that to the channel.
Okay. Yeah. So if it is a separate proposal, it might require it'd be something that we could decide on really easily without having a full process. But the value of the open source leg of the work is too high to qualify for the less I guess the lower tiers. So that's why I think it should be a milestone on this proposal. Done.
So one thing I do want to actually add in here, we need to stress the culture of open source early. Like, it is very important that we make that a very big thing early, because if not, it's going to make the longer we go without requiring it or without pushing it, the harder it will be to actually set that culture. And an open source culture, no matter if your house is dirty or not, is actually beneficial. The reason why Bo was able to build this in the first place is because I open sourced what I did first. And said, like, this is, here you go, make it better. And I mean, I'm a brilliant coder, as everybody knows, but a lot of people out there, a lot of developers think out there is that open sourcing something means that they have to actually, go above and beyond in structure. It's literally, when I say that we require open source, is make it a public repo and throw a MIT or a GPL license on it. There's no extra work that needs to be done. You just have to, you should be confident with the work you do if it's people see it or not. I strongly believe we should make this a one proposal, and if it's open source, and give them 10 million if you open source it, and nothing if you don't. Keep it yourself if you don't want to open source it. It's not a big heavy lift.
I wholeheartedly agree with Chris. And to put my money where my mouth is, I'd like to show you all how dirty my desk is. Look at that, filthy. I've got a box of trash underneath there. I don't even know what that stuff is. Back in my closet, dirty boxes everywhere, okay? This is archival material. People in generations will be looking at how did Voi get started? Why did we have this open source culture? And this is why. As Chris says, if he wants to close source it, he has his reward already.
IRL.
I say we agree to vote on that. Man, you know what I mean? Let's just like agree on what it is we're going to vote on. And I think that that's a compelling argument. So, I mean, is that something that we can do, Wilder? We can just say now, we all agree 10 mil open or just less
Yes.
than thank you.
Yes, I need to, just because it wasn't explicit in the proposal and he didn't make it explicit in the Q&A, I do want to just give Bo the chance to confirm that. But yes, I will structure the proposal that way. If for some reason it's not structured that way, I will let all the governors know. But the plan, expect it to be open source and expect there to be a 10 million association.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Wilder. We have one final D&D presentation by Zarmian and Shelley. It's the relay node proposal.
Hello. I'm just gonna share this. Okay, so we reviewed the relay node proposal. It came in from Chris, and it is requesting 400 million VIA for the operation, or to compensate the operation of the relay nodes for the network. The problem is pretty straightforward. We're looking to incentivize running relay nodes because they are critical infrastructure. None of this exists without them, and we need to allocate tokens to do so. There's a formula that's in the document, in the proposal, looking for the 400 million to be split across, very simply, split across the relay nodes over 6 months. So if, this month there are, last time I checked, there were 36 relay nodes. So if there's 36, 400 million divided by 36 divided by 6 months, I think that came to somewhere around 1.5 million, 1.8 million, I think it was, per relay node per month. And so it was submitted by Chris. I won't go into detail. We have a short timeline. It was a unanimous yes on the first evaluation from everybody. There were a few comments, but we had two conflicting ones. One person said that they were looking for they thought it might not be enough. One person thought it might be too much in the context of if this is what it costs to operate the network, that might be too much. And there was one comment that was concerned about the definitions of things like effective communication and response time in the proposal, because they are fairly subjective concepts, and the proposal states that relay node runners have to have to communicate effectively and be able to work to resolve issues and respond quickly, because these are critical pieces of the network. The big goal here is making sure that relay node operators are getting an adequate allocation of tokens that matches or compares well to the amount of work that it is and the cost to operate a relay node. So let's see. and they're not profitable. They're simply there to they have to exist in order for the network to exist. And so I did a little bit of math on this. Currently for participation nodes, when I pulled these numbers, this was last week, there were 391 nodes, of which 304 are actually voting or were actually active at the time. And I estimated the cost to run a participation node at around $30 a month. Now for relay nodes, there were currently 36 at the time. And it seemed to vary a lot in what it would cost to operate one, but the general consensus seemed to be somewhere in the $100 to $300 per month range to run a cloud relay node that met minimum specifications, or at least exceeded minimum specifications. And that comes out to about a 3 to 10 times the cost of running a participation node. And based on the current number of relay nodes, I estimated the reward to be about 1.5 to 1.8 million via per month per node. And for participation nodes, we're looking at about, I want to say it somewhere in the 350 to 400,000 range. I think that varies a little bit. It's probably a little bit less than that per month. And that equates to about 4 to 4.5 times the reward for a relay node. Relay nodes, however, are a lot more work because of the requirements for audit and uptime and communication, where a participation node can just go offline at any point in time. So my only concern here as a DDer is that it may not be enough, considering how much more work it is to run a relay node and the actual investment cost that it requires. And as far as things I would like to see, I would I'm wondering, Chris, if you can answer this. If there's a current process for removing non-performant relay nodes, and what the process looks like for someone who wants to bring in a relay node,
Yeah, it's relay node running is a very centralized thing. Well, I decide who's in and who's out, and we had a kerfuffle already about it because there was a relay node runner that decided that they were going to run an underpowered relay node and not change it, so I just removed them. This is another reason why I need high communication, is because and agreeing to meet the minimum requirements if required, and to actually make changes if need be. I agree that my concern, knowing how involved it is compared to running participation node, it might be too low now. When I originally wrote this a month and a half ago, it was completely different. But especially like Lobo said, if they increase the participation rewards, there'd be even less incentive to actually run relay nodes. So that is a concern as well.
And I think that's something that we could, go back and look at if something changes, like participation node rewards increase, then I think it would, part of that same proposal should probably include increasing of relay node rewards. Andrew.
Yeah, I guess I don't really have too much to say now that I think about it, but I guess really I agree. I think the rewards are probably right around in the proper range. And I think the most important part for this is just learning of what happens. I mean, technically these are all testnet tokens with no value. So whether it's 50 million more, 100 million less, whatever it might be, I think for the most part, I think this will put us in the scope of being able to determine kind of how the process and program is going to go. And then once we hit towards mainnet, I think that's when we really need to get into the nitty gritty of both consensus and relay nodes. Chris, obviously, I would like to see the relay nodes open up more. Obviously, I understand like the kind of centralized process there is now, but and maybe I don't understand nodes also, which is 100% true. I see you shaking your head, so please no one take my technical expertise to the bank. But if we could open them up, obviously, but just having a more defined program in the future, I think, is what we're working towards, and I think this will get us there. Once mainnet comes, obviously, I'm all for restructuring, the rewards on all the different programs. So,
yeah, my main concern is we don't have enough relay nodes today. I paused recruiting more until we actually have a plan in place to see if we can convince people to participate with the extra rewards. But right now, there's not enough.
what is like a healthy number for testnet that you'd like to get to?
Need 1 relay node for every 5 participation node.
Okay. I mean, really, then, I mean, shouldn't we really probably structure it like with that ratio? I mean, I know that's probably like the amount of tokens would be very high, but if we want to incentivize, I mean, relay nodes cost more to begin with, so even if you did that ratio, you would still have this gap in, whatever you want to call it, is gap in wanting to do it. I don't know. Yeah. Good question.
Quick napkin math would give us about 800 million to get you to that, about 80 relay nodes for 400 participation nodes.
Yeah, it might be a good idea, just kind of thinking out loud here, it might be a good idea to over incentivize them a little bit now to get them online and get people get the relay nodes up and running while it's on testnet. And then when mainnet comes, we can always restructure it and say, hey, they were getting way too much. Maybe they got a nice, 6 months and, they made a good decision. There's going to be one best program to earn rewards, and maybe it'll be relay nodes. But maybe we should scale them up and really try to incentivize people to come over. I know just with the cost, I mean, I guess I'm a pretty cheap person, but I'm like, it doesn't sound worth it to me. But yeah, I don't know.
I propose we keep this the way it is, and if we can't attract more people, I'll do another proposal for request to increase it.
I agree with that.
Okay, thank you, everyone. That's the end of our presentations for today. Thanks for all of the work that you put into it. We have a number of proposals that are in various stages. We have a new proposal that needs to undergo the first evaluation. It's for the Discord faucet, and there's a few others. So I'm just going to send a follow-up email, and please take a look so that they can get moving. Thank you. Have a good day.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.